go ahead and take your seats. That is impressive. Yeah, I know, right? Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to another installment of our Eggs and Issues. A special welcome to members of our 2022 leadership class. Welcome them this morning. You know, it's always great to hear from our legislators representing us under the Gold Dome. One of the things when you look around the room and see a room full of community leaders, it's always interesting to see how we can continue to develop these partnerships. And so Eggs and Issues helps to bring us together, and it allows us to have these intimate conversations about how we're trying to improve our community. One of the Chamber's primary functions is to serve as a convener of leaders and influencers who make things happen. So each contribute to leading that charge for both the Chamber and for our community, so we thank you for that. We're grateful for our ongoing series host, Houston Healthcare. They're here represented in full, so we want to thank them. And our series sponsor, the Great Synovus Bank. Yes, round of applause. They're going to kill me now. I'm sorry for that. All right, and so because of that, we're going to ask Ron if you'll come up, Ron Weigel, and lead us in our invocation, please, and pledge.
If y'all stand with me. Lord, thank you for this day. We're so grateful. We're grateful for how you love us, and we're grateful for all the gifts that you give us. And we talk about this community because we're also grateful for that. Thank you for the legislators that we have here and everybody else that represents our community and country on a daily basis, and their willingness to serve. And so we just thank you for giving us a couple rules to follow to love you and love our neighbor. And we just ask that you keep that imprinted on our hearts, that your will continues to be with us every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Y'all join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all. I know David's eager to get up here and talk, but I'm saying that as a joke. And while I'm tempted to use one of those dad jokes that April and I were talking about, he said don't do it. I'm still tempted. I'm really delighted to represent Synovus at Eggs and Issues. And, you know, part of the reason that we feel so compelled to be a continuing sponsor is I think, you know, a lot of the themes align with how our bank operates. You know, I think about this venue and I think about how we get together, not only here with the Chamber in general. You know, I think about community, I think about partnerships, I think about value, you know, and I think about relationships. And so, you know, when I think about that and relate it to the bank, those themes are similar. You know, we've been in the community for many, many years. Synovus, we have a long history. 135 years, 135-year history with a lot of resources that the largest bank in Georgia can provide. But the fact that we're relational and we have these resources here in our community to help you get to where you're trying to be is one of the primary motivators for why we do what we do. So I just wanted to thank you for giving me just a second, David. But I know we're all here to hear from the legislators and appreciate what they do. Thank you.
Tell the joke.
Should I? Okay. You know, we were talking about, see, I was prompted, okay? And for those of you that haven't heard these are dad jokes, so just, you know, brace yourself. We were talking about the Kentucky Derby and like, you know, like how the horse won, and I was like, I didn't see a Clydesdale and I didn't see a pony. And I was wondering, I was like, why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water? Because he was a little horse. That's it.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now you see why I told them no, yeah. They will join me in saying no next time. Thank you, Ron, we appreciate it. Today's session is sponsored by Geotechnical Environmental Consulting and Terracon Company. We know them as GEC, so that's why I don't even know how to say that name. But Tyler Garrison, who is the Client Development Manager, is here to say a few words. Tyler.
Good morning. Like David said, my name is Tyler Garrison. I work for GEC, which stands for Geotechnical Environmental Consultants. We do that type of work along with construction material testing. We work in the Houston County community for a long time, and we appreciate the support that you've given us throughout the years. What many people may not know, like David said, that GEC name, there is a Terracon connected to the back of it in the book that you have on your table today. We were acquired almost 3 years ago to the date today by Terracon, which is a larger firm that covers most of the United States. But we hope that you haven't noticed a difference, is what we hope. We hope that when you call, you still get Jerry, Mary, Carrie on the phone. Mr. Tom Driver is still here. He is not retired. So that's our number one thing that I have to tell everybody wherever we go is that he's not retired. His cell phone still works. But a little bit about Terracon and GC, we really are grateful for the amount of support that they give us to allow us to be a part of the community. And that was one of the things when Mr. Tom was looking for us to be acquired, was how his people were going to be treated, and also how they were going to be able to be staying in the community. And that's something that we've seen through the years. I'm actually a proud member of the Robin's leadership class this year, and so glad to be a part of that. And we want to stay involved with the chamber. April, we thank you so much for allowing us to do this. Legislators, we thank y'all for what y'all do at the state and protecting Middle Georgia and helping us grow. And if we can ever be of service of any of your projects, we would love to help you. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Tyler, appreciate it. And so now, we're going to get to the meat of our meeting today, which is I have the pleasure of welcoming our legislators, along with our chamber CEO, Amber, what's your name? April.
I don't know.
April. I don't know where did Amber come from. April Bragg to the stage, please.
Okay. Don't give it up for Amber.
Amber's coming up.
That's a new one. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, legislators, if you will go ahead and join me up here. I know you don't recognize me as Amber, but come on up. And we'll get started. You guys are the reason everybody in this room is here and why we look forward to these discussions each and every month. Just come on up front, Noel. You're a tall guy. You can make that happen. So as always, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to hear directly from our hometown people who are representing us under the Gold Dome. This is one of the events that I look forward to both each and every year. And I just want to start, the thing that you guys are mandated to do each session, of course, is to approve our budget. Is my mic going in and out? Are y'all hearing that, or is it just me? Okay, I'm good. All right. And so the governor signed the budget for FY 2023 last week, which strengthens public safety, investing in education and healthcare, and furthering our #1 ranked business environment. We've got, remarkable unemployment at 3.1%, record-breaking commerce, trade, and investment numbers, and state revenues are up without any tax increases to residents or consumers or businesses. So we're going to take just a few minutes and kind of unpack the budget, and I'm going to start with our short timer to my left, the chairman of the House and County delegation, and my good friend Heath Clark. So, Chairman Clark, if you'll just kind of start us off with some budget highlights as you see them, and then we'll just kind of ping pong back and forth, and we'll end with our Ways and Means chairman down at the end, if that works for everybody.
Well, again, thank y'all for having us. Thank y'all for being here. The budget, again, is the only thing we are required constitutionally to do, and it seems to take just about the whole time we're there to work on too. And in every session we pass 2 budgets. We do a small budget, which is kind of truing up the current fiscal year based on true numbers and actual money coming in, and then the big budget. And so The biggest thing that we fund every year is education. That's the largest chunk of the budget. We're required constitutionally to provide for a quality basic education for every Georgian or student in the state. So we completely restored all the cuts that we made during COVID so that the QBE formula is fully funded again.
What's QBE for those?
So that's the quality basic education formula. There's a formula that tracks how much each school district should receive based on their student enrollment numbers, and that is fully funded again. The teachers got their the additional $2,000. They were given $3,000 a couple years ago, and got $2,000 more in this budget to put them to $5,000 total over the last couple years to their basic salary. And then every other state employee got a $5,000 pay raise. And again, all this is without increasing taxes because of the way we managed through getting through the COVID pandemic and budgeting fiscally conservative. We were taking in so much money that we added as much as we could to the rainy day fund, and then we were able to give back $1 billion to the taxpayers and do all these additions to the budget. So that speaks very highly of the governor and this team of people and all of our colleagues in the Capitol about how we managed to get through the COVID crisis and are really coming out of this leading the nation in the recovery effort. So there's, just in my area in the Capitol as Chairman of Defense and Veterans Affairs, I know that we added an additional $3 million to the Department of Veteran Services. And a large chunk of that is going to try to go towards veterans and suicide prevention, as well as some of their transitioning from the private sector from their service into the private sector, and using some of their training and their education that they received while in the military to go to the private sector, and just trying to help that transition as smoothly as possible, and then provide for them services along the way as well.
Representative Dickey, you got the mic.
I'll tell you.
Saw that.
Thank you, and it is good to be here with all my colleagues, and I think Representative said it well. Budget does start in the House, but it's a real collaborative effort with the governor and the Senate, and as he said, due to some prior good tax work and good economic work for our state, we're in great shape, and our revenues are certainly up, and we put additional revenues not only in education, healthcare, public safety, transportation, all different areas of our needs for our state budget, and I think we're in great shape going forward. It's a great foundation. Our state revenues are very balanced between sales tax and income tax, and I just thank Chairman Blackman for really positioning our state tax code in a way that it will be strong not only now but in the future. So a lot of great things happen. I told a lot of people I left legislature 1st of April, 2nd of April, where we left, and I've never been more pleased with what we've done. So many different areas, not only budget-wise, but other areas that really, I think, just moving our state forward, a great foundation. So I was really proud of what both we did collaboratively. You can't do it just the House and Senate, but we've got a great governor that's had some great initiatives and continues to, and so I'm just happy with what we did this year.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to be in Warner Robins this morning. It's great to be in Houston County. And can I get an amen?
Amen.
We got a lot of good things going on in Houston County. I'm excited to represent you and honored to represent you. It's the hardest job by far I've ever taken on, but it's also very gratifying, and I'm honored to be able to serve you, and I'm honored to be able to serve with this excellent Houston County delegation. As I was looking at the kind of the bios or the committee assignments that were scrolling through the screen, I realized that all of us in the Houston County delegation are now chairmen. So that, I think, speaks well for your representation. I also will be remiss if I don't thank Heath Clark for his 10 years of excellent service Is it 10? I really didn't know when he got elected, but he's become a real close friend, and I really, really admire him and respect him. He's just a man of great integrity, a great family man. We passed the largest budget in the state history, a little over $30 billion, but we have a prosperous and growing state. We're almost at 11 million people. There's already been mentioned that we fully funded the Quality Basic Education Act, which is your K through 12 education. That was passed in the 80s. I remember my father working on that with Governor Harris. It's never been fully funded until 2019. Then we had the pandemic and we had to cut it. So we've now restored the austerity cuts, and so it's just recently that we've been able to fully fund the formula for QBE. So that's a big deal. We restored the funding, the austerity cuts to the University System of Georgia, which allowed them to take off the special institution fee that students and families were having to pay. So that is a big relief to our students and families, and will help. You hear a lot about student debt when they graduate, and that'll go a long way to help them with that. In addition to the raises to the state employees, we have some agencies, y'all, where the state faces the labor crisis just like private business does, and the state and government typically pays less than the private sector because of the benefit packages. But it had gotten so out of whack that we were having tremendous turnover in state employees. And you all know it costs more to hire and train somebody than to retain somebody. So the Department of Corrections, for example, had a 90% turnover rate. 90%. I mean, that's just, you can't operate that way. I think overall our state was looking at about a 25% turnover rate. And so that is a major challenge for us, and continue with this $5,000 raise is to help blunt that. The services our constituents get suffer dramatically when we don't have experienced employees and we aren't fully staffed. So we recognize that as a problem, and part of the budget we were able to address retention with some real good improvements to the state employee retirement system. They had not gotten a COLA, I don't think, since 2008. We were able to give them a small COLA, and we were also able to make some significant changes to the retirement plan that will incentivize people staying longer. So the longer they stay, the higher the match they will get to their retirement plan. So we hope those are going to be improvements that eventually you will see in the customer service that you receive from state employees. A lot of really good things in the budget for ag. I may get to talk about that later, but I need to pass the mic. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. Well, good morning. It's great to be with you. I am really honored to get to represent. What? Did I mess something up?
Wasn't me.
Okay, all right. Great to get to represent part of Houston County, and it's good to be with you all this morning. These gentlemen have talked very well and great details about the budget. Let me just sort of give two perspectives. And one to say, isn't it great to get together, and it's becoming normal that we get together face to face again. But I say that to say, notwithstanding the great budget times that we're in right now, you don't have to roll back but about 2 or 3 budget cycles, and we were looking at 14% budget reductions, and the anticipation that we would have to have 14% budget cuts for all state agencies. A very different picture than what we have right now. And so all of us and all of y'all as business owners are certainly very grateful for the times that we're in, but things can swing very quickly, and obviously we don't want to have another pandemic coming, and that was a little bit of a significant unusual event. But here we are now in times of really good economic prosperity. We do have some challenges, and as Senator Walker said, one of those main ones is we've got a great low unemployment rate, but it's challenges for business. It's a challenge for the state to have workers to do the jobs that we need. That was then. This is now, and to talk about the continued good
numbers that we're seeing is I saw something just last week. The April revenues for the state for this April were up 78% over April of last year. So the revenue numbers still look good. Our basic economic engine for the state is doing well, and I think the budget that we passed this year reflects that, but was a prudent expenditure of not only money that was needed to provide state services, but also to return money. I think Chairman Blackman's going to talk more in greater detail on some of those issues, but we're able to actually return some of the taxpayer money that belongs to y'all instead of keeping it in Atlanta and figuring out some way to spend it.
I just wanted to add, it's great to be here this morning. The eggs and the bacon, delicious. Kudos to the chefs back there. It's great serving with these distinguished gentlemen on the stage. You know, it's an honor serving with Heath these 8 years, and hopefully we'll see him around and he can still be a voice for us and help us. I wanted to talk about, you know, they always say, well, Noah, what have y'all done in Atlanta? You know, y'all go up there and, you know, you're gone, and what have you done good for the people of Georgia? Well, we were talking about our budget, and I wrote a paper in '92 in Southern Politics, University of Georgia, under Charles Bullock, and our state budget in 1992 was $4 billion. Well, this year it's $30 billion. But of that $30 billion, 24%, or a little over $7 billion, goes into healthcare. So we're taking care of Georgians, and we're taking care of friends and family. And we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the House bills and the bills that were passed. But you know, one thing that was probably the most touching to everybody that affects everyone in the state, in some direct or indirect manner, is House Bill 1013, the mental health and substance abuse policy that we passed. I believe it was said that 4 out of 5 Georgians are affected either directly or indirectly by this. And of our budget, since we're talking about budget, a little over $7 billion goes into healthcare, and that affects all of us. And it doesn't matter if you're Republican, a Democrat, an independent. Georgians, healthcare affects everyone, and I just wanted to hit that highlight.
Thank you so much. Jeremy?
Oh, thank you, April. I also want to echo maybe the last eggs and issues where you're up here with us, and congratulations on a great 8 years there, Chairman Clark. And I think I saw her leave the room, but we have another anniversary, I think, of 18 years for Arlie Durham, and what a great addition she was.
Representative Blackman, if I could, just a point of privilege about Harley, on your tables and in the pre-show slides was a call to action to write a note at some point for Harley. There are note cards on your tables, so if you've had a personal experience or just know what a treasure she is to our chamber and our community, I encourage you guys to jot her a little note before you go, and we're going to collect those and share them with her after the program.
Yeah, you got a great staff, but Arlie has been just a tremendous, constant over the years for us. Just a couple things to add. When we talk about the budget, it's good to go last, right? We got here for a number of reasons, but it's not any one person, and it is not any one year that got us there, and it's certainly not necessarily us. It's y'all. It's out there making things happen. And so when we modernized the tax code over the last several years with TABT, and then with Marketplace Facilitator, which is our sales tax, where we kind of combine that, send some back not only to the state, but also our locals, our county, and our city, and our schools. It did put us in a position, along with the kind of recovery that we had, that y'all have made in our private sector, coming back so quickly after COVID, in a position to have these kind of these revenue increases, and I think it's incumbent upon us to return some. So we're able to save you some at the pump by eliminating the excise tax on gasoline through the end of this month, and I think it's contemplated to go even beyond that based on the kind of what we're feeling at the pump, and then we returned in refunds over $1 billion back in your pocket. So those checks are coming if you haven't already received it. And then we're able to plan, for the future, a reduction, in our overall income tax. So the largest income tax in state history, over $1 billion in year one alone, and it reduces the rate, flattens it, simplifies things, and it also raises our standard exemption. So, for instance, a family of four at the end of all the phase-in wouldn't pay 1 penny of state income tax on the first $30,000 of income. And that same family, at roughly $75,000 of income, would see $650+ a year savings. So, happy that we were able to work together as a team to put that back in your pocket. After all, it's not our money, it's yours. So, I think that pretty well covers it.
Great wrap up, absolutely. And you'll pass the mic down to Chairman Clark. So, talking about tax cuts and tax exemptions and things, I know one of the things you've been championing over your tenure, and now as Chairman of Military and Veterans Affairs, is the exemption of military retirement pay. So if you want to share with us a little bit about what that legislation did, and then let's segue into other military-friendly legislation. There we go.
I was scared it was gonna be something else and I was gonna have to lead off on it again. So we finally got that done. That is something, as the Chairman of Defense and Veteran Affairs, and I probably would guess every member here has heard from either their constituents or people, just in general, that they wanted to get the military retirement pension pay a tax exemption. Every state around us either doesn't have an income tax or they exempted military retirement pay. And so, with all the bases that we have in the state, with Columbus, you got Valdosta with Moody Air Force Base, Kings Bay over by Jacksonville. Over there you have Augusta, Savannah. All these bases were pretty close to state borders.